residential tech talk, lighting specialist to residential tech.
Welcome to Residential Tech Talks. I'm Jeremy Glowacki, Executive Editor of Residential Tech Today. On this week's podcast, we welcome two esteemed guests, AVPro Global founder and CEO Jeff Murray and AudioControl VP of Sales and Marketing Chris Kane to discuss exciting business acquisition news for the residential and commercial AV integration industry. Earlier this week, AVPro Global, the parent company of AVPro Edge, Murideo, and Bullet Train audio video distribution products, acquired the home audio division of AudioControl from AAMP Holdings. Through the deal, AVPro Global will assume ownership of AudioControl's home audio division product line of amplifiers of various shapes and sizes, AV processors, AV receivers, and AV signal extenders. But enough from me. Our guests today are much better suited to tell us all about their combined company and brands. Welcome to the podcast from the AudioControl headquarters in Seattle, Washington, Jeff Murray and Chris Kane. Hello, gentlemen. Congratulations on the announcement.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. It's great to be here, and thanks for the shout out there. This is awesome.
Well, it's good to see you guys, and it's a couple of really good brands and people that I really admire and love talking to and seeing at industry events. But before we dig into the specifics of your acquisition, which definitely I want to get into, wanted to touch on a little bit of your backgrounds. For those in the audience who don't know you guys, and I'm mainly speaking of my dad, since I'm sure that most of the industry knows you guys better than they know me. Jeff, I remember you from way back in your days at Sencor, and you mentioned we chatted along with my former colleague Adam Goldstein at the Marriott in Indianapolis at Acedia. But then I looked in your LinkedIn bio and I saw some Midwestern ties like myself. I see connections to both Southern Illinois University, go Salukis, and Chicago. You seem to be a Midwestern guy. Did you grow up in the Windy City?
No, but I did go to school at City Colleges of Chicago, European Division, and University of Southern Illinois was also in the military. So I had a 20-year career in the military in electronics. And I went to night school, and so that's where you see the Chicago. But that was actually in University of Maryland in Germany and Fort Gordon in Georgia. And
interesting.
So,
yeah, that's really cool. I skipped over your military service, which was extensive. I mean, 20 years before you even get to this industry. So you train as guys in the military can get really good at the technical stuff if that's the route you take. And is that what led you into this industry? Was the technical chops that you developed in the military, or was it your own night school developing that through your education?
That's what I did in the military. I was working in electronics. I went through the whole military basic electronics program for 52 weeks and then went into early computers, tactical communication systems, satellite tracking systems, you name it. By the time I had retired in 1997, I had a lot of electronics experience, a lot of leadership experience. And I got recruited by Sencor, actually, for the Sencor being a test and measurement company. They recruited me for the technical background. And while there, we built an AV department. It was basically Sencor was broadcast and TV repair. They got their main thing was TV repair back in the 50s when it was tube testers and the things you would see in the drugstore and take your bag full of tubes and test them and see which ones are bad and buy one right on the spot. That's kind of what Sencor did in the beginning. But then we transitioned into AV and broadcast. And then I always wanted to do something on my own. And when Sencor was finally acquired, I tried to bring in connectivity while I was there. And I just decided that's what I wanted to do. And luckily, my son Matthew is in the business now. He's our CTO. So we've got a nice little family business with, AVPro Global Holdings. That's kind of how we got it.
That's great. And the company AVPro Global Holdings was founded at what year? About
2024 will be 10 years. So
okay,
2014.
great.
Yeah.
And we can dig into a little bit more about the company and all the brands, but before I let Chris sit there too long and not talk, I thought we'd talk a little bit about your background too. And I'd like to point out that I think you might be personally responsible for improving the heart health of everyone in the custom integration channel, thanks to all those years sending out smoked salmon from the Pike Place Market.
There you
Reminding us all that you're that Seattle is part of a rainforest, which kind of blew my mind when I first heard that. I'm like, what are they talking about from the rainforest? and in fact, like we have rainforests in our country, so that's really cool. But I consider you basically synonymous at this point with the AudioControl brand. I know you're the person I look forward to talking to when we're at a trade show or any other buying group meeting and talking about your brand. But I guess I know less about where you grew up and how you got into the business in the first place. Can you tell us a little background on yourself?
Certainly. Yeah, I came at it probably a little different angle than Jeff, but I was in college for accounting and management, and along the way, I started working at an audio store in Southern California, and kind of got bitten by the bug, of sound and putting things together and creating systems. And so at some point, I realized, hey, there are other people that can do the accounting and management side of things, which is fine, but I'd like to be out there, talking to the customers and designing systems. So I did that in Southern California in the 80s, which was an awesome time to be in Southern California and selling audio. And we had a neat store in the West Hollywood area and stuff. And then from there, honestly, the riots came along in LA, and it kind of caused me to say, maybe Southern California isn't the same place. And I got introduced to Tom Walker, who at the time was the owner of AudioControl. So in August, this is actually August of 1992, I moved up here and started working with AudioControl. So I'm going to hit 32 years here in a few weeks. And it's, it's been exciting because the company went from, when I started here, we were doing a lot of 2-channel EQs and processors and mobile audio and things like that. And, over a shorter period of time, we got involved with CEDIA early on. I still remember those first CEDIA shows. There was basically a bunch of 10 by 10 day booths, and everybody would show up for a couple hours and then we're done. That was CEDIA Expo, that kind of stuff. So it's taken on a whole new life these days, we fly in 3 days ahead of time to set up and tear down. And then the company just kind of pivoted as our relationships with dealers who are regular retailers started going out to clients' houses and doing installs. And they said, hey, if you guys could make products that would, fit into a rack and, could connect with this and that, it would be great. And I'm like, okay, what's a rack? And then they're like, oh, then my big epiphany was, hey, people are plugging their TVs into their stereos, which at the time TVs were sold by, appliance stores and things like that. And then video became its own, monumental business. And then honestly, our dealers and, the team being out there fed us a lot of product ideas, and we pivoted, pretty quickly into servicing more of that residential, integration business from there. So, and then I've been here ever since.
Well, and you've gone through some changes just recently, and so the AudioControl's CEO for many years, Alex Kamara, sold to AAMP Global, and then Alex then retired from the company at a certain point not too long ago, and that was back in the beginning of the year, February.
Yeah, February, March, I think, something like that.
Yeah, so you've gone through a little bit of change, even though you've been in that company for a while. You've seen it's gotten a little bit different there at the last couple, last year or two. So now you've got a new owner, and did you guys know each other at all before this acquisition occurred?
We actually stayed in the same hotel at ISC last year and had a beer, but we really weren't close.
No,
Honestly,
different rooms, but yes,
different rooms.
Just to be clear, I've always known Syncor. We did a lot of audio analyzers in the past and taught training in their own classes and calibration, and I think it benefited us, and certainly what they were doing also. So we've always been of the mindset of measurement, calibration, and performance, albeit video more with them and audio with us. So certainly respected on that side of things. But
we actually did some projects with Tom in the early days at Syncor, and we had some of the products manufactured by AudioControl, like the Studio 6 tools that you see today for acoustic measurement. And that's still part of AudioControl. That's something we kind of worked on all through the past probably 15, 20 years. That product has just come along. So yeah, there's some history.
Okay. And maybe for those who aren't quite aware of what the various brands are within AVPro Global are. So you've got AVPro Edge, Bullet Train, and Murideo. Can you kind of give a little rundown on what each of those brands cover within their brand, their names?
Murideo is where we started. We started Murideo's test and measurement video generators. We started by speccing winning a bid on a big spec for the Geek Squad. We made about 2,000 of these video generators to their spec when HD was coming into the market, and that kind of got the company going. So Murideo right now is 8K versions of these video generator analyzers that are used by field techs, calibrators, and also manufacturers for designing products. So the high end is kind of comparable to like a quantum data, and the low end is a field test setup, Fox and Hound, troubleshooting throughout a system. Bullet Train is our HDMI cable line and USB cable line and AOC cables, active opticals. Our big line is AVPro Edge. AVPro Edge is full connectivity. That's HDMI extenders, splitters, HD-based T switchers, HDMI switchers, video wall controllers. The big thing now is HDMI over IP. AVPro has got 1G versions and 10G versions. So the SDVOE and the 1G. For any application, any budget, that's based on standard Ethernet technology. We also manufacture switchers to 48 port and down, full PoE, full fiber optic. So both great for the residential and the commercial markets. So that's kind of a quick recap.
Yeah. And so for those who don't know how these deals come together, and honestly, I don't know much about it either. What was the first step in finding out that this was a good opportunity for AVPro Global to acquire AudioControl's home business unit?
Actually, a mutual rep that reps AVPro and AudioControl called me out of the blue. I think it was about March. Yeah. Probably about March. And said, he told me about what the acquisition, right? And Alex, and I guess Alex had left, and some key employees had left, and it was kind of like there was not a real defined direction for home. Automotive and car, I think AMP had their eyes on that. That was the main thing that they were going after, and so this rep said, you should call Chris Kane and talk to him. And I did. And we had a lot of conversations, and he connected me with the AMP guys. And we actually have a satellite office down in St. Pete. And AMP is down there. They're in Clearwater, Florida. So they're literally a 10-mile drive for us. So had some discussions with Mike Detmer, who's been advising us since January. He's our senior advisor consultant. And we just took a ride over there and had a meeting with him. And I think almost immediately, Mike was kind of telling me as we were walking to the elevator, he's like, don't say a word. It's one of those deals where, let's just not talk about it because it's just too good to be true. We saw the synergies immediately. it was like, man, this is just going to be a really great opportunity for us. I hope we can work out the details. And that's how it all started. And I think Chris, it kind of went dark. I saw him at an event, a ProSource event.
Yeah.
ProSource event. And we talked, and he asked me how it was going. And obviously AMP had put us on a pretty tight leash and muzzle on talking about the deal. That's pretty normal. But I did tell him that we were making progress, and, and we did. We were making progress throughout this whole thing. It takes a long time. I think it was pretty quick, actually, but from March to July 31st. But that's how it came together. And we're in day 4 here, and we're already starting to see some real good connections. We flew down our benefits guys, and they've been talking to the troops here and in production and management, and it's just a fantastic group of people. I couldn't be more pleased. My son couldn't be more pleased. Things are moving along a lot faster than we expected.
Today's episode of Residential Tech Talks is brought to you by NICE, the global manufacturer of smart home security and building automation solutions. NICE is bringing together 30 years of innovation with award-winning products from ELAN, SpeakerCraft, and Panamax to create a holistic ecosystem for builders, integrators, and consumers. Learn more about how you can create one home with one solution at go.niceforyou.com/RTT. What about AudioControl fits into your brand collection there so well?
Well, everything, because if you think about it, we'll sell a matrix, or we'll sell these AV over IP matrices, and they're all line out or line in, and they all need amplification at some point. So every one of these systems that get tied to our matrices and our HDMI over IP stuff, it's going to need amplified audio at some point, right? I mean, video needs audio. So it's the same customers. We ran a kind of a comparison of our databases, and 50% of the dealers are already buying from both companies. So it's actually quite nice. It's a good fit.
Yeah, and honestly, we manufacture, wonderful amplifiers, sound quality, high power levels. Connectivity is always the secret sauce. We can have the best sounding amp, but if we have RCAs and everybody else is using Dante or something else, it only gets you so far. So I've been kind of watching AVPro from a distance, going, wow, I would love to figure out how to get some of their switching capabilities built into our amplifiers, because I think that's really the holy grail a little bit in the custom install business, is to have connectivity. So, and I've seen their products and stuff at shows. So when Jeff called me, I was like, is this real? This is kind of what I was thinking would be great for our engineering team, because, they do things with HDMI and with eARC and Dante and digital that, we do on some of our products, but that's not what our specialization is. We're more of a specialized in amplifiers and high power. So all of a sudden you've got this, amplifier from an amplifier company and connectivity from a company that specializes in connectivity, and as the dealers we've talked to this week, who at first go, why are you doing that? And then you explain that to them and they go, wow, that's huge. And that's what kind of got us, I think, all very excited about the synergies that were with us on the home side. So I think that enthusiasm that we all had, I think, helped move this thing along really quick.
Yeah, there's really no downside. I mean, at this point, at least, talk to me in a year. But right now, it really is it's a good opportunity for both companies.
And what can you reveal? I know you're a private company, so you may just say pass on this question, but in terms of headcount from both companies and how this changes the size of your overall operation.
This will push us over 100 total.
Okay.
With
Great.
Both companies. We're about 68, I think, in 3 locations with AVPro, and I think about 38, 39 was the head count here. So yeah, that'll put us up over 100 personnel. And then we own a fab in Shenzhen where we have another 70 or 80 personnel engineers, component engineers, buyers, assemblers, the whole deal. So I guess total would be kind of somewhere a little bit south of 200.
Wow. Okay. And Jeff, you're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Is that correct? Where you're personally located, or?
Sioux Falls is our headquarters. Yep.
Yep.
And I spend most of my time there. Yep.
Okay. And so how do the satellite office is St. Petersburg, you mentioned, and then Green Bay, and then you've got a European office in Slovakia. How do those fit into the company? Like what is is that for sales purposes or manufacturing, or what do you do with those different locations?
Manufacturing is going up in Sioux Falls. They're going to be putting in the equipment next week. We just purchased a new facility there about a year ago and retrofit it for our headquarters facility. So we got two major facilities, over 20,000 square feet in Sioux Falls, plus a warehouse. St. Pete was kind of developed out of me moving down there to Florida, but now it's turned into 14, 15 people. And we put our tech support down there because that Central Florida area is really good for recruiting. So I can find good techs. I can find guys with a lot of experience. So that's our tech support center down there and our training center. We're about 6,500 square feet down there in a lease space. But we're planning on, actually, Chris is a tech support guy is heading down there Sunday. That's one of our first integrations, is getting that tech support team up to speed on AudioControl. A lot of them have already used it, programmed it, and know about it. So that's not going to be a big stretch, but they're going to be up to date. So that's one of the immediate impacts you'll see is we'll have more tech support. So that's St. Pete. Green Bay is more engineering and driver development.
Okay.
So that's, drivers is a big thing in connectivity. It's a big thing for Chris's company. We share the same, one of the same driver developers already. So that's going to kind of come together nicely. Bratislava is more or less one of our main business partners, Laszlo Katona. He's got a lab over there for testing. He does a lot of design work. He also manages all the Foxconn business, in the Eastern European areas, Germany, Poland. And then Shenzhen, of course, we have another manufacturing facility with, I think, 4 lines now, 6 stories. And that keeps growing and growing. And it's not like the normal, what you see in the industry where one factory manufactures for 10 or 15 different companies. This is our factory. So the only thing that we manufacture out of there is AVPro and just a little bit of selected OEM on some meters and things, generators. But then we also have an R&D facility in Guilin, which is about 1,000 kilometers north of Shenzhen. And that's where we get a lot of our, test bed and just new engineers coming online, learning projects, 4th-year students that we can hire. That's kind of the whole lineup. We're pretty engineering heavy. We do work. We do have a good size sales and marketing department also, but we spend a lot of time developing products that work. That's our.
Yeah. And next week the Sioux Falls.
Yeah, next week is
factory goes live there too.
Yep, the new factory goes live next week in Sioux Falls. All the national reps will be in Sioux Falls next week also, from the residential rep side. And Chris will be there with me, and he'll be introducing, himself and the company. And so we're in the beginning stages here.
And Chris, how's the AudioControl prior to this operation kind of function as far as is everything pretty centralized with that Seattle location, or do you have other operations that are going to be integrated with this acquisition?
Yeah, a majority of manufacturing and operations is here in Seattle. We use a few remote engineers for programming or software development and things like that. And prior to the acquisition, we were utilizing some of the resources from the AAMP Global guys in Florida for accounting and stuff like that. But that's all pretty much centralized here or being transferred over to Sioux Falls.
And how do you see the company culture with AudioControl prior to the acquisition? What are your feelings on how that integration of the company culture is going to go?
I mean, right now, I mean, it's, in the dinners we've had and the conversations, I mean, they're focused on high performance video switching. We're focused on high performance audio. Our common customer is the residential and commercial dealers. So it makes so much sense. I mean, the conversations are great along those lines versus, having a conversation. I mean, with the AMP guys, for instance, their focus was mobile audio.
Yeah.
And they did a nice job of stewarding with what we did, but there would certainly be more, and one day I would have a conversation about EARC on an amplifier and then launching 12-inch woofers with LED lights behind them, so
yeah,
which is fun. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy car audio immensely, and I enjoy home audio, but it allows now, I think, especially with our team too, there can be more focus here. We're already in the process of relaying out the factory here to accommodate more amplifier production, and kind of going through some processes there so we can focus on those SKUs. In the past, we were focusing on those SKUs plus mobile audio SKUs. So it'll make us more efficient from that standpoint. And honestly, having Jeff's team in here, to kind of walk through with the guys, from the manufacturing manager to the engineering side of things. And just, it's always nice to have your processes reviewed, and, we're a 46-year-old company. We have things that we've developed over time, and some work well, and some it's good to take a look at them. And an acquisition like this gives an opportunity, and they're successful with things they're doing, so we're able to latch onto that. But the synergies and the efficiencies, kind of like what Jeff was talking about. I mean, the tech support. I mean, we have a great tech team, but it's fairly limited. All of a sudden, we're going to have access to a much higher level of tech team, so the support is going to be bigger. The customer service aspect of what they bring to the party also is great, and then we're just dipping our toe in the water in terms of product synergies. I mean, that's going to be, I'm really good at keeping my fingers on the pulse of people around here. And, everybody's very, very energized about the whole thing. So very, very psyched.
My son mentioned that most of the guys in production were wearing AVPro shirts yesterday. He was walking around taking pictures. So
that's great.
I think we're making some impact. Like Chris said, the customer service is already connected with what we call sales excellence in Sioux Falls. Since home was a division of the mothership, and it split like that, so we had to bring in all new IT infrastructure also on Monday, and we had to issue new computers on Monday, and so we're working through getting the instance of NetSuite up and running, and we're about 10 days off from that. So we're kind of manual right now because that was all pulled out. But I think we're making it through. Today I think they're doing an inventory. Mm-hmm. I think they'll be doing some inventory through tomorrow. But yeah, the teams are starting to work. They let us, AMP opened up and let us start working together about a week ahead. And so we did get those teams together and start communicating. And I think now that we're on site, I think they're hopefully realizing that we're the real deal. And, we want to take this thing to the next level. This is just, it just feels right. I think the cultures are going to be very similar. We're Midwest, South Dakota, just a salt of the earth, and that's the same way it is here. I was pleasantly surprised with how great all the people are.
That's great. So the last thing I want to ask you about is CEDIA Expo. It's right around the corner. We're almost at the 30 days and counting phase. Obviously, that's a lot to get ready for any company on a normal day. Now you're combining companies and doing all this infrastructure change. So I'm assuming you're going to be in separate booths for this one and not try to do a big combo thing at this point late in the game.
Well, Chris has been staying on top of that, right? So basically that was just a matter of, yes, he's got his game plan in place already for CEDIA. What new products are being launched, the press releases and so on. So yeah, they'll keep their same booth. They're literally, we could probably hook up a
We're going to throw a Cat5 wire
a Cat
from our
5
booth to
between
their
the
booth,
booths.
you know.
So just by luck, we're about 2 booths apart.
Okay.
So, we'll probably be getting some people in their booth and vice versa, and some products just so we can announce it and get the word out. I think, just looking at the web, I mean, a lot of people are sending me comments on my LinkedIn and stuff. So I think a lot of people already know about it, and
Sure.
I haven't seen any real negative yet that said, what are you, crazy?
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like a crazy thing at all. It looks like a really good combo.
My wife called me last night and she says, "Hey, there's a Facebook guy on here who said, yeah, in my many years, I'm not a big fan of most of these acquisitions, but this one, it's like, hell yeah."
Yeah.
So that was my,
Good.
she goes, "Is that a good thing?" I go, yeah, it's a good thing. So
Yeah.
I think the industry's been very receptive, and all the dealers and customers that we've talked to over the week and the stakeholders and such are all like, wow, this is that thing that'll help energize our company to that next level, help Jeff's company, just it's great for all the brands. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, guys, thank you so much for taking the time out in the middle of so much craziness and getting to, your companies combined. And it was awesome learning more about it. And I wish you well. We'll see you at CEDIA Expo, and folks can connect with you there, I'm sure. So thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jeremy.
Jeff Murray is founder and CEO of AVPro Global, home of video-centric brands AVPro Edge, Bullet Train, and Murideo, and now the audio amplifier and extender brand AudioControl, where Chris Kane is VP of Sales and Marketing. You can find out more about both companies, both brands, same company, at avproglobal.com or at audiocontrolpro.com. And that wraps up today's show, which was produced by Residential Tech Today, IPW, and Pretty Easy Podcasts. Please check out prettyeasypodcast.com if you want professional and affordable production help on your own podcasts. Also, special thanks to our title sponsor, Nice North America, for their financial support. And if you're new to Residential Tech Talks, please subscribe to the podcast wherever you watched or listened to this episode. Also, check out all the latest residential tech news at our magazine's website, restechtoday.com, where you can also subscribe to the print or digital magazine and to our Tuesday and Friday email newsletters. Finally, if you're a CEDIA Expo exhibitor, please be sure to visit the RTT website to submit your entries for our Innovation Awards prior to the August 11th deadline. Until next time, please stay safe, stay inspired, and let us know if you have a great story to tell.
Residential Tech Talk, fantastic lighting specialist to residential tech.
Home automation, smart device, home or smart house.